The supply and demand model can explain the following events. Why are ticket scalpers for Final Four seats, or any sold-out sporting event, able to sell tickets for as much as $5,000? 2. Why do gasoline prices rise and fall so easily? 3. Why do prices of computers drop when new models are introduced into the market? Demand is the amount of a good or service that consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price. Price, the amount of money or other goods that one must pay to obtain a particular good. Quantity demanded is the quantity of a good that people want to buy at a given price. Demand schedule is a table illustrating the amount of a good or service consumers are willing to buy at a given price. Demand curve is a graphical representation of demand. The information it contains describes the quantity of a good that a buyer is willing to purchase at different prices. Note that both the demand curve and the demand schedule should describe the same information. The law of demand is the tendency for the quantity demanded of a good to decline as its price rises. For a demand curve to be consistent with the law of demand, the demand curve must be downward sloping. According to the law of demand, a lower price will result in an increase in the quantity of the good that consumers are willing to buy, holding all else constant. Again, demand is the relationship between price and the quantity demanded, all other things equal. What are the other things that we hold equal? Well, the price of a good is a major variable that affects the quantity of a good that consumers are willing to buy. Other variables can also affect consumers' quantity demanded. The following variables also affect the quantity demanded of a good and are held constant when analyzing the law of demand. Consumers' preferences and tastes, consumers' income, number of consumers in the market, consumers' expectations of future prices, and change in prices of related goods. Changes in consumers' preferences or tastes for a product relative to another product will change the amount they purchased at a given price. For example, after September 11, 2001, more consumers were afraid to fly, resulting in a decrease in the demand for air travel. The demand for gasoline increased as people chose to drive to different destinations. An increase in consumers' incomes can result in an increase or a decrease in the quantity of goods or services demanded. Normal goods, for example, are goods for which demand increases when the consumer's income rises and decreases when consumers' income falls. Examples of normal goods are jewelry and luxury cars. Inferior goods are goods for which demand decreases when the consumer's income rises and increases when consumers' income falls. Typical examples of inferior goods are Spam, the Big Mac, riding the bus, and snow shovels. An increase in the number of consumers in the market is likely to result in an increase in the demand for the good or service, while a decline in the number of consumers will likely result in a smaller demand for the good or service. For example, the demand for electricity in your city increases as the population increases. If people expect the price of a good will increase, they will buy it before the price increases. If they expect the price of a good to decrease, they will wait before the price drops. What will you do if a credible source tells you that gasoline prices will go up by $1 per gallon tomorrow? Two goods are related if they are either substitutes or complements. A substitute is a good that has many of the same characteristics as and can be used in place of another good. For example, Coke is a substitute for Pepsi. Riding a car is a substitute for taking the bus. Downloaded music is a substitute for music CDs. A complement is a good that is consumed or used together with another good. Examples of complementary goods: gasoline is a complement to SUVs. Cream is a complement to coffee. Learning economics by reading your econ textbook is a complement to going to class. If two goods are complements, then an increase in the price of one good will result in a decrease in the demand for the other good. If two goods are substitutes, then an increase in the price of one good will result in an increase in the demand for the other good. Examples: since coffee and cream are complements, then an increase in the price of coffee will discourage consumers to buy cream. Since Coke and Pepsi are substitutes, an increase in the price of Coke will encourage consumers to buy more Pepsi. Movement along the demand curve is a change in the quantity demanded of a good brought along by a change in its price. A decrease in price can be seen in the diagram as a movement from point A to point B in the same demand curve. An increase in the price is depicted as a movement from point B to A. A shift in demand is a movement of the demand curve brought about by a change other than the price of the good. The demand curve can shift left, a decrease in demand, or shift right, an increase in demand. An increase in demand has 7 possible causes. The possible causes for an increase in demand are: 1. A greater preference. 2. An increase in population. 3. Incomes increase for normal goods. Or 4. Incomes decrease for inferior goods. 5. Expected future price increase. 6. More expensive substitutes. And 7. Less expensive complements. An increase in demand is illustrated as a shift in the demand curve to the right. A decrease in demand has 7 possible causes. The 7 possible causes for a decrease in demand are: 1. Less preference. 2. A decrease in population. 3. Incomes decrease for normal goods. 5. Incomes increase for inferior goods. 5. Expected future price decrease. 6. Less expensive substitutes. And 7. More expensive complement. A decrease in demand is illustrated by a shift in the demand curve to the left.